Well, good morning. I remember it's probably been, wow, 20, been more than 25 years ago, because I was actually in the Air Force on active duty at my first assignment when I heard these words the very first time, and I argued when I heard them. I heard them from at that time, 73-year-old widow named Leota Henson. I worked an off-duty job when I was not on the base because I worked 24 on, 24 off, and every week I had 72 hours off. So it was kind of boring on the base if I didn't have something. So I got an extra job working a security detail for a very wealthy older woman. Sometimes I would drive her places. Sometimes I'd put on a uniform and stand around Waffle House or another one of the buffet dinner places there in Lubbock. But I was having a conversation with her one time, and I guess I was making a lot of excuses about why I was doing what I was doing, why I wasn't doing what I could be doing, et cetera, et cetera. And she looked at me and she said words that I've since come to know actually are a quote from Henry Ford, I believe. But I've heard it from a lot of different people, and I've heard a lot of different people attributed. So forgive me having not looked up the original source. But in this conversation, it was a little bit combative, me as a 20-year-old and her as a not 20-year-old. I was probably like every other 20-year-old in the world. I was a bit of a know-it-all. I had all the answers, had it all figured out. And I had good, logical, well-thought-out excuses for all the things that were preventing my life from being what it could be. And she finally looked at me and she said, "Listen, I don't care if you believe you can or you believe you can't. You're right." And I thought, I finally won this argument. Because she said, "You're right." And those were really the only words that I heard. But I worked with her for another 2 years. And over that course of time, I began to understand a little bit better what she meant by whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. See, it's not a matter of being right as much as it is believing. And today I want to talk to you about 3 steps to revive the possibilities in your life, because the truth of the matter is we were basically all born with unlimited potential. We're created in the image of an almighty God, created in his image with his attributes. Now, we're not timeless like he is. We are not omnipotent or omniscient like he is. But we do have creative power. We do have imagination. We do have skills and talents from the human mind, without regard for the limitations of the human body. Because we are not just a physical being. We are a 3-part being: body, soul, and spirit. And because of that, we have possibilities, even probabilities in our life that are way beyond the imagination. No tree, no plant, no animal at any level can match what a human being is capable of. Not even the angels in heaven can do things that we can do. They weren't created the same way. Oh, they understand the supernatural world a lot better than we do, but they are not humans. They cannot be redeemed. Once they're lost, angels are forever lost. They can't be bought back. Only humans can do that. That's a pretty powerful reality. But I really want to talk to you about 3 ways that it all has to do with your thinking and your mental willingness to believe. It's a set of decisions that you have to make, and no one can make them for you. No one can undo them once you've made them. No one has power over your will. No one has power over your choices but you. Well, sure, there are some people that impose their will on you, but even then, you have the power to choose how you will react to the bad things that happen. I want to share a couple of little highlights out of this book I've been reading. It's called Life Quest by Dr. Mark Chironna. And as you can see, I've done quite a bit of studying. There are a couple of things that jump out at me from here that I really want to share with you, and that I want to take these ideas and expand on them with some of my own thoughts and experience as well. Just a couple of quick quotes from what he said. On page 84, he says, "The perception of powerlessness is a perversion of truth. Yet, even perversions of truth can build things." And what he's talking about is the structures in our mind that allow us to have relationship. They come out of us, they express themselves, and this is learned well in the program I teach called Attitude Hack, that the words that come out of your mouth really explain the attitude that's in your heart. And so you can tell by working with someone long enough, just having a conversation with them, the metaphors that they choose to use reveal to you the structures of their mind system, the way that they think, the way that they make decisions, what they prioritize and what they deprioritize. All of those things are revealed just in the words that someone speaks. And that's exactly what he's talking about here. But the perception of powerless is a perversion of truth. And yet that perversion can build things. To believe that you have no hope is to believe that you're a victim. And that victim mentality will set in to your life, and it will come out of your life through your mouth as an expression of victimhood. That everything in your life is going wrong, that it's never going to be right, that there's no hope for you to fix it, that you're always going to be dependent on someone else to take care of you because of what has happened to you in your past. Whether you've been bullied, you've been molested, you've been robbed, you've been raped, you've had everything taken away from you, you lost a loved one too early in your life to really recover from it. All of those things are perversions of the truth that you have unlimited power. And when you believe those things to be true, your belief is what limits you, not reality around you, because your belief becomes your reality. What you think about yourself, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. If you believe you're a failure, you will find a way to fail. If you believe you're a success, regardless of the obstacles, you will find a way to succeed. That's just the way it works. There's a video going around right now that I've mentioned it a little bit before on this program, where everybody starts on the race starting line, and they're offered $100 for the first one who crosses the other finish line, and then they list all the victimization, the victimhood lies, the belief that because this happened to you, you have a disadvantage. Now, I agree that there are a lot of obstacles: not growing up in a two-parent home, not growing up with enough money to go to college, not having, and they just go through an entire list of things. If your parents were divorced, if you came from a two-parent home, take one step forward. If your parents both had jobs, take one step forward. And so what they're trying to show is the disparity between those who have lived a well-thought-out life and those who have not lived a well-thought-out life, or their parents have not lived a well-thought-out life. And so generationally now, they're, quote, paying the price for the thought processes of their parents or the multi-generations ahead of them. Now, I hate to oversimplify their video, but here's the bottom line. You can make all the excuses you want to, and at the end of the day, they're still excuses. Let me say that again, because I know you don't like it, but it's true. I know. I lived it. You can make all the excuses that you want to in life, but at the end of the day, they're still excuses. I asked the question yesterday, and some people took pot shots at it because they have their own agendas, but my question was, do you have to be hearing impaired, or does it matter if you're hearing impaired to play in the NFL? Think about the realities of being a player on the field and how important it is to hear the play calls, to hear somebody call your name, to understand what has been shouted on the field and when the cadence is for the ball to snap, and all of those things that are pretty important to play on a football field. And you'll understand that the ability to hear is a pretty significant necessity in playing football. So if you're hearing impaired, does it make playing football impossible? If you can't hear the snap count, if you can't hear the play that everybody else is running, if you can't hear when you're supposed to be down and when you're supposed to be going, how do you play that game? I'm going to let you soak on that one for a while I share a couple of other quotes with you. Here's another place. He says, if we fail to use our inherent power, we forfeit the rightful authority we have been given over our own lives. Think about that for a second. If we fail to use our power, what's in us, the nature that's in us, if we fail to use that, then we forfeit the right to complain. We forfeit the rightful authority over our own life. We forfeit the right to make excuses. If we have power to change something and we don't, we can't blame anybody else. Just a few weeks ago, several leaders from the Congolese government were here in Texas, and we did a training with them. And in that training, I asked them a question while we talked about attitude. Just raise your hand if you have a shovel. And all of them raised their hand. I said, raise your hand if you own a rake. And all of them raised their hands. And I said, raise your hand if you own a gardening hoe or a leveling tool. And they all raised their hands. And I said, now raise your hand if the road in front of your house, the dirt road in front of your house, is rough and crumbling. And they all raised their hand. And I said, now let me ask you this question. Whose fault is it that the road in front of your house is not smooth and level? Every single one of them said it's the government's fault. Now, don't miss the irony that the people I was talking to are all elected or appointed officials in the Congolese government. That's why they were here for training. But the problem as they see it is someone else's fault. They want to cast the blame, not take responsibility. They want to shuffle off the fact that what they have power to do, they have not done. What they themselves could fix and change, they haven't changed. That's a problem. So then I ask again, is it really someone else's fault that the road in front of your house is level? Is it really beyond your control? You just told me you have a rake, you have a shovel, you have a hoe. You have the tools in your own hands to solve the problem of a rough road in front of your house. And yet you do nothing and blame someone else. Are you in the same predicament? You have rough spots in your life and all the tools to level them out. But you've made more excuses and casted more blame rather than fixing the problem. Rather than dealing with the issues right in front of you, you blame someone in the past. You blame someone in your family. You blame another job. Oh, it's easy to cast blame. I know. I'm tempted to do it every day, just like everybody else is. It's easy to say, well, I couldn't fix it. There was nothing I could do about it. I couldn't, because we don't want to take responsibility for our own lives. But let me tell you something. Dr. Chironna is right. When we fail to act on the inherent power that we have, we give over responsibility for our life. The authority to run our own lives is lost. We become victims and therefore slaves to whatever it is that drives us besides fixing the issues in our life. A couple more places here. He says an important caveat must be restated. No human being is operating in a natural capacity who has unlimited control or ultimate control over a nature or other people. An important caveat must be restated here. No human being who is operating in natural capacities has ultimate control over nature or other people. You can't make anyone do anything. I've heard people say before, look how you made me feel. Think about that for a second. Who has the power in that relationship? Well, you've just given it up. You've allowed someone else to control your feelings, to control your opinions, to control the things you think about. You've given that power to them. You gave it up. Look how you made me feel. Well, they can't make you do anything. They can do all kind of foolishness around you, all kind of offensive things around you. If you choose to be wounded by it, if you choose to take offense, if you choose to become a victim of it, then you've given over your power. And you've lost the authority to control your own life. But that's your choice. Just a couple more. The transformation you desire begins when you honor the power that has been entrusted to you. Again, no one has more power in your life than you do. No one else is responsible or can be responsible for what you think, say, do, and feel. Those are exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about the attitude hack. Attitude is, by definition, what you think about how you feel and how you feel about what you think. And the result of how you think and feel is what comes out of your mouth in words. What you say reveals what you think and feel. What you think and feel determines your future, because you can or you can't based on what you believe. If you believe you can, you can. If you believe you cannot, you will not. So whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. A couple more places. Our outcomes are directly tied to the use of power we have been given. This is a bold statement here. I'm reading directly from the book on page 85. Go grab the book if you don't have a copy of this. I believe it's his latest book. It's brand new. He says, in our society of self-admiration, we find it easier to blame others than to accept responsibility. By shifting blame, we relinquish the power we have and thereby create potentially endless cycles of powerlessness. There is a better choice. The choice to exercise dominion over one thing nobody else can rule, and that is ourselves. That's exactly what I told the Congolese government. It's exactly what I told the parliament leaders last May when I was there. Dr. Chironna is just confirming what I've been teaching for a couple of years. And I know I'm not the only one teaching it, but apparently there's not enough of us teaching it for everybody to get it, because we still have a giant segment of society who would rather cast the blame on the government. They would rather blame the president or blame their governors or blame their city council or blame the school board or blame their spouse or blame their children or blame their neighbor or blame the city ordinances for the problems in their life, rather than taking ownership, taking responsibility, taking accountability, and taking action. It's a lot easier than it sounds. It really is. It comes down to second-by-second decisions, by the choices that you make about the way you allow yourself to feel about the things that are said and done to you and around you. I'm telling you, it's easier than you think it is. It's simply a choice. But it's a choice that no one can make but you. No one can decide for you how to feel about something that just happened to you, good, bad, or otherwise. It's on you. No one else can fix it. No one else can do it or undo it. It's on you. It really is all on you. You hold the power to change your future, regardless your past. Now you might say, well, there are too many limitations in my life. Really? How about the guy who climbed Mount Kilimanjaro who has no arms and legs? You think you got more limitations in life than he does? How about Nick Vujicic? Born without arms and legs. You got more limitations in life than he does. Really? Think about that for a second. So I'm going to give you 3 quick steps to revive the possibilities in your life. You ready for this? They're not complicated. In fact, they're going to seem so simple, you're going to go, it can't be that easy. Oh, it is that easy. It really is that easy. Number 1, acknowledge that you have possibilities in your life. I have to look at my life and say, physically, I have very large bones. I am not real tall and slender. I wasn't built that way. I could become a ballerina. I would just be a really different kind of ballerina. Don't picture that too much. It wouldn't be a good thing. Me in a tutu and pointy-toed shoes? No, not at all. The possibilities, though, are based on the natural gifts and talents that have already been given. The possibilities are based on the fact that we live in the world we live in today. I could not have done this video 100 years ago. The platform didn't exist. The tools didn't exist. I could have done it on television, but it would have taken weeks, maybe longer, to take it from the ideation to the recorded tool to the edited product to the platform of television. Then for it to be broadcast and for you to see it. 100 years ago, there's no way I could have done this live like I'm doing right now. It just couldn't happen. Now, the irony to that is there are still unlimited possibilities yet ahead of us because it was altogether possible for someone to create video then. That's why we have it now. The possibilities only have to be acknowledged. What are the possibilities based on my strengths, based on my talents, based on the gifts that I have, the physical prowess that I have, or the intellectual prowess that I have, or the personality that I have, or the relationships that I have? Those are all doorways to possibilities that no one can walk through but you. They're your possibilities, they're your connections, they're your gifts, they're your talents, they're your skills. They're yours to decide to employ. But first you have to acknowledge that there are possibilities and stop making excuses for having no options. Stop making excuses for having no choices. Stop making excuses for the fact that your life is where it is and instead get busy doing something about it. Number 2, begin appropriating them. He says it this way: phenomenal possibilities are lying dormant in every life, including yours. If they remain dormant, the possibilities become moot. No benefit or pleasure will be gained from them, regardless of how phenomenal your possibilities may be. The possibility that you could earn a 7-figure, the possibility that you could earn a 7-figure income will not pay your bills. All of your potential is like a seed left in a bag, hiding in the dark on the shelf. Without the sun, without the water, without the nutrients, without the painstaking work of getting the seed and putting it in the ground, it will never be more than a seed. The potential in you, the possibilities in you, will never be more than a seed until you appropriate them, until you call them forth from where they are to do what you want them to do in your life, to move forward in your life. Every junior high student has the ability to do something they've never pondered before. But instead of creating in them the want and the desire to pursue those possibilities, our society and our media has converted them to being violent victims instead. You think I'm kidding? Just watch some of the video games they're watching. Listen to some of the music that they're listening to. These young people today are so determined to live vicariously through other people's lives that if you watch closely the videos they're watching on their phone, about half of what they're watching is someone else playing a video game. They're not even playing the video game. They don't even consider themselves good enough, many of them, to play the video game. They watch others play the video game. Now, some are watching to learn the hacks and the shortcuts so they can beat the game. That's pretty industrious. But will it ever reach their full potential, their possibilities? Only they will know. They have to decide that. Yes, there are people who make thousands per week playing video games and recording them because they're so good at it, because there are so many viewers who watch what they do. But the quality of value of what they're adding to life, it's not what they're capable of. I'm not saying they're not making money. I'm just saying the gifts and the talents that they have could probably add value to more people used a different way. I've watched some of those videos on Twitch. Some of those people are not people you would want to hire to flip burgers at Burger King. They just have mastered one particular video game and they know how to push record while they're playing it. Acknowledge that you have possibilities beyond what you're doing right now. Appropriate those possibilities. Begin to invest in them. Figure out what it is that you could do differently and begin doing that something differently. And finally, apply the proper perspective. Here's the way he says this. Consciously applying yourself to the fulfillment of your possibilities. You do this, or choose not to, according to what you believe. Even your unspoken beliefs are more potent than you could possibly realize. If you believe that your talent is great, but no one is interested in what you can do, you will find a way at an unconscious level to ensure that no one is interested in what you can do. I spent a large majority of my marriage thoroughly convinced that my wife was one day going to walk out on me when she realized who I really was. For the first 10 years of our marriage, I was thoroughly convinced I wasn't worth having as a husband. Truth be told, I probably wasn't, but that didn't change her level of determination. And now 23 years in our marriage, we see greater potential in ourselves and in each other because we've changed the way we think about ourselves and about each other. He says, if you believe that your talent is great, but that no one is interested in what you can do, you will find a way at an unconscious level to ensure that no one is interested in what you can do. I sabotaged every relationship I ever had before my wife. And truth be told, I probably tried to sabotage this one as well. But by God's grace, it's been able to stay together. If you, on the other hand, believe that you can make a difference regardless of the obstacles, you will make a difference regardless of the obstacles. I asked the question a while ago, is it possible to play in the NFL if you're hearing impaired, if you have no hearing? There was a young man by the name of Derek Coleman who always had a passion of playing in the NFL. And as a younger kid, he always told people, I'm going to play in the NFL one day. And everybody looked at him because they knew he couldn't hear, and they thought, that's probably not going to happen. I mean, there were a lot of people making excuses for him, giving limitations to him, stealing possibilities from him. You know these people. They're in your life too. They're the people who hear you when you have a dream and they laugh at you in your face. They tell you you're never going to do that. They mock you and say, oh yeah, big superstar, look at you. You know who I'm talking about. They're the same ones that have been trying to steal your dreams all your life. They've been the thief of dreams in your life. If you don't have it yet, I'm going to recommend that you go get a copy. You can get it on Amazon.com of Live a More Excellent Life. There's an entire chapter in here on dream thieves. It's a very simple read. The whole book is based on stories. But all of the things that we've been talking about today, like attitude, belief in yourself, the possibilities, what do you do with the words that people say to you that try to destroy your dreams? What do you do with the people who try to beat you down and beat you down and beat you down? How do you deal with those painful words? Live a More Excellent Life was specifically designed. It was written as a study guide and a reading book for people who are starting out in life or people who are starting over. People have reached that point of exasperation and said, I know I have greater potential in my life than where I'm at right now. There's some really practical walk-through steps in this book that can change who you are. I'm not exaggerating. I'm telling you the truth. Look it up on Amazon. Live a More Excellent Life. Derek Coleman. If you don't know that name, look him up on Google. And you're going to find a young boy who grew up hearing impaired with various types of hearing aids over and over and over again. At one point in the story, his mother was using the stretchy part of pantyhose around his head to hold his hearing aids in his ears when he put his helmet on so he could play football when he was a kid. All the way up through high school, then into college. And by the time he got to the NFL, he was a noted superstar. Derek Coleman played for the Seattle Seahawks. He was told over and over again that someone in his condition would never make the cut in the NFL, yet Coleman never stopped trying. He excelled in high school football, advanced to UCLA. At some point, his mother solved the hearing aid problem by cutting up several pairs of pantyhose using the stretchy strips to hold her son's hearing aids in place. Pursuing his dream had become a family affair, and everyone played a part in keeping it alive. That is so essential, I can't even tell you. If you're a parent and your kids have dreams that sound to you so far-fetched and so unrealistic, so out there, that you can't fathom it, don't laugh. They may have been given a vision or a possibility that is a divine call, an opportunity for them to do what never has been done before. Can you imagine Steve Jobs trying to explain the iPhone to his parents when he was 10? No possible way. But I believe that possibility was in him even then. Derek Coleman became the first deaf man in NFL history to play offense. Achieving his dreams was not easy. It required a lifetime of adjustments on the playing field. It forced him to work harder than everyone else. He had to prove his ability to compete with the best hearing players in the world. I want you to understand that contrast for a minute, because there are a lot of young kids who have everything necessary to play in the NFL. They have the physical size, they have the agility, they have the speed, they have the football IQ, they have everything possible, everything they need to make it in the NFL. But when they get to the level of the tryouts, the team only takes 65. You've got to be really, really good to make the cut to actually get on the team and then to actually get on the field. That's pretty powerful expression of your talent, your diligence, your hard work, what you've had to do to make it happen. Derek Coleman did that with the added disadvantage, as most people would see it, of not being able to hear what he was being told to do. But his diligence and his consistency and his hard work paid off. There's nothing stopping you from doing the same thing except your willingness to try. And you have to be willing to try. He had to prove his ability to compete with the hearing players in the world, and he proved it because he believed he could do it. Nothing will stop your future faster than your failure to believe in you. If you hate you more than you love the possibilities of your life, you will go nowhere. He accepted the reality of his deafness and owned his power to overcome the challenges it cost him. Coleman also accepted accountability for his disadvantage. He said, when coaches put someone on the field, they don't want to have no doubt in their mind. You have to get the job done regardless. That's ownership. Derek Coleman built the structure of his life on the facts of his talent and the belief that a deaf man could play in the NFL. On February 2nd, 2014, he followed his belief all the way to the Super Bowl, and his team, the Seattle Seahawks, won big. The only thing standing between you and your ability to acknowledge your possibilities, to appropriate your possibilities, go get them. Go get them and find them and plant them and do everything that you can, because when you have a big dream and your friends and your family gather around you and support that big dream, I love the way he said this about his mother. He said, pursuing his dream had become a family affair and everyone played a part in keeping it alive. That must be true in your life as well. Whether you're the supporter of someone else's dreams or you're surrounding yourself with people who support your dreams. And if there are people who want to laugh at you, who want to poo-poo your dreams, who don't want to support you in it, move along. They're probably not going anywhere in life anyway. You can look at them through the rearview mirror later on. But right now, you don't need the albatross of drama around your neck. Trust me, there's plenty of that. The media creates drama and victimhood and pouting and whining and crybaby and I want my rights and I want what I want all day long. Don't allow yourself to be a powerless victim, and don't allow yourself to stay in relationships where other people will not support what you believe is possible. Appropriate your dreams. Acknowledge them, appropriate them, and then act on them with conscious intentionality. Every day you've got to have a routine that leads you closer to getting that dream accomplished. Every day you've got to pour into and invest in your opportunities. Do something different today than you did yesterday that will take you closer to your possibilities becoming a reality. And believe that not only you have the opportunity, but you also have the right and you have a reason to live out those possibilities. You have the opportunity, the right, and the reason. You're worth it. You deserve it. Don't let anybody steal those possibilities from you. Be realistic, but don't be discouraged. I hope this talk today has challenged you to not make excuses. Now, this is a week where, if it's acknowledged properly, your life could be forever changed this week. Because the most powerful expression of the possibilities in your life, after acknowledging them, is to say thank you for the one who gave them to you. Thank you to family and friends for supporting you. Thank you for the loved ones who've given their lives on the battlefields abroad. Thank you for those who founded this nation and created such an incredible place. Thank you for those who have loved me and fed me and taken care of me all of my life. Thank you, Almighty Creator, for every breath. There would be no possibility in me without Him. There would be no possibility in you without our Creator. In Him we live, in Him we move, in Him we have our being. I don't care how many friends walk away as you're living out your possibilities. I don't care how many family members laugh at you out loud as you're living out your possibilities. There is a Father in heaven who laid down His life to see to it that you had the right, the power, and the opportunity to live out everything He put inside you. Go get it. Go do it. Start now. And be grateful in every step for the opportunity. I'm J Loren Norris, and you've been watching Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.